Hello everyone, and welcome to the Digimon Ghost Game video. This time I'm going to be talking about episode 63, which is called Gluttony. I'm also going to be going over the upcoming episode synopses for episodes 64 and 65. There's also Digimon Con 2023, which is still going on as of recording this. Nothing has been announced so far. It's mainly just been a pretty nice interview between the voice actress of Hiro from Ghost Game and Takuya from Frontier, and they also showed off some special Frontier and Ghost Game merchandise, which is currently Japan only, which is a shame, and we've also seen some next order footage, which interestingly resulted in a bunch of copyright claim IDs being put on my channel because I had some stream footage from years ago, so that content matched because it's obviously the same game. So that was interesting. So yes, as of recording this, nothing has been announced. We are, however, expecting announcements for something called Digimon Seekers, which I'm not even going to talk about what I think it could be because in all likelihood, once this video is released, we'll already know. And I am doing a Digimon Con wrap-up video, which I will be most likely releasing tomorrow morning. So stay tuned for that if you want a full wrap-up and news video about all the things that are coming out that have been announced, because they will do some announcement about whatever the 25th anniversary project is, likely whatever Digimon Seekers is, but I'll get to that once it's actually announced. In any case, this week's episode 63, Gluttony, had a very surprising Mon of the Week. Now, last week I was kind of thinking that the deadly sin of gluttony Digimon, Beelzemon, would be the Mon of the Week. I also saw a lot of people throughout the internet wondering if it's going to be Wedding Mon, who had previously shown up in the Digimon Cross Wars manga. However, I don't think anybody could have actually predicted the Mon of the Week, which is Quartzmon, who previously appeared in Digimon Cross Wars Young Hunters. So that was a little bit surprising, didn't expect to see Quartzmon. So the episode basically feels like just an excuse to make a bunch of almost Neon Genesis Evangelion references. It just looked very much just like Lilith. I think I said that when I originally covered Young Hunters as well. And basically what happens is that Ruli is eating some lollies and snacks with her friends and ends up eating a baby Quartzmon kind of nodule, kind of gross thing. And then that makes her start to exhibit really, these symptoms of munchies, basically. She just keeps on eating and she's just never satisfied. Then she tries to eat Gamamon, basically threatens to eat Hiro, and then the character's like, hey, something's up. They take her to Mummymon, who says that, yep, something's up. And her soul kind of leaves her body in the form of a Quartzmon, who then goes up into the heavens to hang out with the big Quartzmon overhead that I guess we completely missed out on. And same goes with all the other Quartzmon that have been forming within these victims. We get a battle, because of course we do, but then it turns out that Quartzmon is just getting all this energy and life force in order to protect these babies that have been just basically expelled from the human world. Whether or not these are babies of the Digimon who have just died, because of Mons of the Weeks, like Sealsdramon, for example, or if they're just random babies who just were hanging out in the human world, not too sure. But it turns out that they're actually trying to protect these babies, which is kind of sweet. It's nice to have this very evil-looking Digimon who was even the big bad from a previous series, and he's actually kind of a little bit of a sweetheart looking after these baby Digimon. He then does give the life force and power back to the humans, only if the main characters help look after the babies, which they do promise to do. Then Clockmon appears and says how Digimon are basically flooding to the human world because somebody has advised them to do so. Because, yeah, somebody, it's not said whether or not it's Hiro's dad or if it's some other entity, but Gamamon does have a little black spot on his back, which is kind of interesting. And then the episode ends. So basically this episode, I think I enjoyed it. It was Very creepy. I didn't expect it to go in a creepy direction, but the body horror that we get when Ruli's entire face morphs, we get her having stretchy arms. She's basically becoming like a zombie. She's trying to eat her friends, and it's slightly creepy, and I just didn't expect this episode to go in that creepy body horror way, even though I should start to accept that that's just how Ghost Game is. So it was fairly surprisingly creepy and well animated. The motivation was surprising. It didn't really feel like, I didn't see it coming that it turned out that Quartzmon actually had a fairly genuine motive other than just, I thought it was just, oh, this is just a big evil Digimon being a big evil Digimon. We've had that before, so I was ready to kind of be a little bit bored with this episode. However, the fact that we have the Mon of the Week actually having a reasonable motivation, he wanted to protect these baby Digimon, I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's surprising. You can't really judge a Mon by its cover, and I definitely did with Quartzmon. But to be fair, Quartzmon has been a big bad before. It's like if we saw Belial Vamdemon show up, I would probably not really be very trusting of him either. So that was an interesting kind of way that the story could go. Of course, Ghost Game is always subjected to the Ghost Game problem, which is the fact that it's a 20-minute long episode, and some of these stories feel like they could go a bit longer. However, this episode was fairly fine in terms of pacing, and again, the motivation and the solution didn't really feel all that rushed. It was a unique solution. It wasn't just, hey, Quartzmon, naughty, naughty, you can't just steal the life force from people. And it wasn't just him stealing life force because he felt like it. He actually had a reason for doing so. It wasn't just, he's a big evil Digimon, let's go fight the big evil Digimon, maybe give him a slap on the wrist, maybe murder him, depending on how we're feeling, because a lot of Ghost Game episodes do go that way. So I'm glad it wasn't just going down that usual path that Ghost Game tends to go. Overall, this episode probably doesn't have that many memorable moments. I did really appreciate it in terms of the uniqueness of the motivation for the Mon of the Week, and the general body horror was surprising. I'm glad that we didn't make Ruli go into any weird territories of eating disorders or binge eating or anything. It just was kind of like very surface level of, she just keeps on eating and she's still hungry, but that's because the Quartzmon inside her is eating the food. I'm glad we didn't go into any like weird realms of psychology there, on the basis that I don't really trust Digimon to do that well, and it's a fairly touchy subject, so I'm glad that we didn't even try to tread into that territory. I know Sailor Moon did back in the late 90s, I think that episode was, and they did it fairly well. I don't really trust Digimon to do the same thing, so I'm glad it was very like it didn't try to go any deeper. It was just kind of, she's eating a lot because there's a Digimon inside her that is eating. We didn't need to go any levels of psychology into that, and that's fine. It doesn't need to. It doesn't need to be that deep. Overall, I liked the episode. Again, not super memorable, but it was overall a fine episode. Now, we do know that the end of the episode is kind of leading into the end game of Ghost Game, the end Ghost Game, if you will, and that's due to the fact that this series will have 68 episodes. We do have a 1 week off from March 5th, which is in 3 weeks' time, I believe, if I'm getting the thoughts together. And we've got another anime that's not Digimon related after what would be episode 68 of Digimon Ghost Game. So we know that Ghost Game is ending, these episodes are wrapping up, and now I'm going to read the synopses for the upcoming episodes 64 and 65, and then we don't know anything about 66 so far. So one would be safe to assume that 66, 67, and 68 will be the main chunk of the plot. And honestly, I can feel like they could wrap up the series pretty well in 3 episodes if they effectively do what Young Hunters did and have the plot in like the last few episodes, the last chunk of episodes. And I'm fairly certain I've said from the start that that feels like what Ghost Game is trying to do, because Young Hunters did it, Atmon more or less did it, Atmon did in the same sort of way as Young Hunters and Ghost Game, is that throughout the series there might have been little tiny plot bites, but overall the plot itself was wrapped up in the final few episodes. So anyway, let's look at these episode counts, or episode synopses rather. If you're not interested in hearing about them, I suggest you tune out of the video because, of course, they're brief synopses, but they still might spoil something that you may be looking forward to just seeing without spoilers. So next up, we have episode 64, Calling Voice. The Crunchyroll subtitles did call this The Call, but where I'm reading this from is the With the Will translated synopses, and it says Calling Voice, but we know that the episode is now called The Call, which, judging by the preview, looks... They even said the Dark Ocean, but it's not going to be the Dark Ocean from Digimon 02 and the Adventure Universe. But could you imagine if it is? That'd be pretty baller. So anyway, the synopsis says, Ruli and Kiyoshiro come to the Digimon Assembly to inquire about the recent increase of Digimon in the human world. Apparently, Digimon are being led to a gate into the human world by a voice. But the humans are unable to find any leads. During this, Ruli and Co hear about a strange fog that has popped up in recent rumours. People who supposedly disappear en masse are found standing dazedly in the mist. This rumour spreads not only among the Digimon, but as an urban legend among the humans. Meanwhile, Hiro goes on a fishing trip, because what better time to go on a fishing trip, with Gammamon and his friends. As they board the boat that picks them up, the area grows enveloped by fog and ... So, that's fairly funny that we've got, like, Ruli and Kiyoshiro having, like, a plot, and Hiro and Gammamon are just, like, having a little field trip. Like, that's just kind of fun. I'm glad that they're also going to be walking into the plot too. Judging by the synopsis, I'm not sure how this can be a 20-minute episode. It feels like there's a lot going on. We have Ruli and Kiyoshiro investigating. We have Hiro going on an unrelated fishing trip only to find the plot as well. It feels like there's two different things going on here. I worry about the pacing because Ghost Game often feels hurt by the fact it's a 20-minute episode. I say this all the time, but Ghost Game could really benefit from being like maybe 10 minutes longer, maybe 20 minutes longer, just to fit in a little bit more, especially in like either the end portion or the investigating portion. It always feels like one or the other sacrifices itself to the 20-minute time slot. So I'm not sure how this episode could be 20 minutes. It feels like there's a lot going on here. And then we have episode 65 coming out on February 26th called Black Death Zone, which is a fairly metal name, so big fan of that. And the synopses read, as digital devices throughout the world are disabled, that's the most horrific thing that Ghost Game has ever put. Not the eyes appearing on the person, not the dead fiancé and the corpse, not the Jataramon killing itself, definitely the digital devices around the world being disabled. Life-threatening. Anyway, Hiro and Co learn about the situation from Hiro's once missing father and his assistant Terriermon. Whether that is Terriermon as in just Terriermon, but he's an assistant, or if it's specifically the Digimon assistant Terriermon, unsure. Would be nice to see assistant Terriermon because he's Terriermon in a lab coat. What can go wrong there? In the digital world, something black of unknown origin is corroding the trees, water, and even Digimon, turning Digimon into violent creatures. The Digimon sink into despair as they anxiously wonder if they can no longer return to their home, the digital world. To help all of them, whom they have met so far, Hiro, Ruli, and Kyosho decide to go to the digital world. So, we're finally going to the digital world for the last 3 episodes of Digimon Ghost Game, and then we have March 5th is a hiatus. So that feels like such a... It makes me sad. We're just kind of like going to go on a quick week break after we finally get some... to go to the digital world and some plot. And then one would assume 66, 67, 68 are wrapping up the whole thing in a nice little package for us. So that's all we have so far. As I mentioned, Digimon Con is still ongoing. I will quickly check... if any announcements have gone on. Oh, no, Digimon Seeker has been shown off. The project is meant to make Vital Bracelet BE even more adorable. It's got Dorumon, Rudamon, and I guess the Digimon Logomon, who I would assume is the 25th anniversary Digimon, and looks pretty cute. Kind of looks like just Doraemon, but more of a wolf. So that's kind of funny. I will edit in pictures from this here, but so it'll feature an ensemble cast who intersect in the real and digital worlds, taking place during the dawn of digital world research, and looks pretty good. Oh, we've also got a Pulsemon there. Interestingly, there is a character who just looks like me. That's interesting. Also, what I'm noticing is that it's they look like adults, and it appears to be a novel series as well as just general products. So it does look like it has an older cast age. Like, we're not just having like kids, and they do have Vital bracelets with them. But yeah, the one with like the undercut with like a blonde side and the brown side, that's just me. Or at least maybe not me now, but me when like I have my undercut and I have like part brown, part blonde. It's just me. But anyway, so that's exciting. We got a little bit of news about Digimon Seekers, and I guess the rest will be in my Digimon Con news video tomorrow. So in any case, that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts about Digimon Seekers or this week's episode of Ghost Game, or where do you think Ghost Game's going to go for the next few episodes? Let me know all that and more in the comment section below. Like this video for, hey look, we're finally getting adults in a Digimon series. That's exciting. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your neighbours. And of course, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!